Welcome back. Thank you. How's your week been?
Yeah, good. I had a speaking thing that I had to do on Friday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally I was thinking a lot about that leading up to it, thinking whether or not it's going to happen, is it going to happen, what's going to happen. But something else happened.
Ooh.
I had this kind of, although the voice was still there, I had this kind of quiet confidence. This knowing that I was going to be okay.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah. And it was fun. It was good. I mean, I had the nerves and the normal stuff, but I was able to crack a joke, and it was great, actually.
That's really good. So you had that confidence and that knowing that it's going to be okay.
That's going to be okay, yeah. So, and then I started to obviously think about, why did this happen? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But I guess the only thing I could think of is that I was chairing this event, so I wasn't leading it as such. So my content wasn't the emphasis wasn't on my content. I was just kind of facilitating the process of, okay, now's the next speaker, and then I said a little bit of, but
Yeah.
not, the spotlight wasn't so much on
Sure.
what I was saying, so I didn't feel like I was being judged.
Okay. I'm curious if you had had that same event 2 weeks ago, what would you have anticipated happening?
I think I would have been a lot more shaky.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have felt different inside, but my body would have been different because I was already really nervous about it happening before our conversation.
Yeah.
So, one of the other things I noticed too during the week is that I still, when I heard that voice, the one that says, maybe you're an idiot for believing what you believe, or maybe like I had this, it kind of morphed into something else over the week. It was like, you think this stuff is new to people, you're just a silly sort of little girl. People have been through this, they know the stuff that you're talking about, and they're like, oh, now you've come along and you're trying to tell us this stuff. This is old stuff, we know it, or it doesn't work, or we've been through this, move on, do something else.
Gotcha.
So I feel like a little chicken sometimes.
Wow.
Like I'm like hatching out of the egg and going, oh wow, look, lights. Have you seen the lights? You're like, yeah, dude, the lights have been there, So that's kind of the best way I can describe how I feel, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've had that kind of morph into slightly different.
Slightly different.
Chicken hatch.
So one of the things we were talking about last week is that fear of being judged. And I think that from that internal dialogue that comes up, what will they think? And even this new little, look at the light, that's beautiful kind of thing, is still all of that element.
Yeah.
Is that still relevant for us to play with?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do today,
Awesome.
is clear or transform or something that fear of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do with that fear of judgment? Like by the end of today's session, where do you want it to be?
So I want it to be, I'd like that voice to be kind of a lot quieter, or even change into something else, like, I don't know, something a bit more empowering.
Okay.
So I'm not feeling like a silly little kid. So I want it to be more, what do I want it to be?
Even empowering is
I want
fine.
it to be, I want it to be empowering.
Okay.
Like, so what if they've heard it before? Or something like that, rather than,
Okay. How will you know, by the end of today's session, how will you know that voice is more empowering for you?
So the first thing that just came to me is like this space behind my eyes that kind of got, when I sort of went, how will I know? I just got this really like a laser sharp sort of, I don't know, like beams coming out of my eyes, like I just do.
Okay.
So there was a space here behind my eyes that I felt get intense.
Okay. So we'll even test for that, maybe even thinking about a future situation, and we'll test for that laser beam thing
like
behind your eyes. The confidence.
Even my shoulders and that sort of.
Okay. So we'll tap into confidence.
Yeah.
What other resources do you either need, or do you already have that we can tap into?
I'm thinking of a word, but it's just not coming to me.
Is it
trust.
there?
Like a trust, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How did you know?
It's there. Okay.
Like a trust, I think.
Okay.
Trust that I just know it, or I got it, or something.
Okay. And when you have this, when you've got that trust, that confidence, that laser sharpness, that more empowered voice, what will you see, hear, and feel when it comes to public speaking?
So I will, I'll be more grounded, both physically and mentally and emotionally. I'd have a conviction that would show in my voice and in my eyes and in my posture. That kind of will finally reflect how I truly feel.
Nice.
And just be all kind of all aligned and whole again. You know what I'll say? I'll see people's reactions not as judgment, but as wonder what that's about. More that curiosity about how is what I'm, what. I'll start from the beginning of that sentence. How will what I say or do impact these people, rather than, oh, they must be thinking X, Y, or Z, like mind reading.
Yep.
So more of that curiosity. I'll see that. When I see that reaction, I will be like, wow, what's that about?
Wow.
What's going
That's so
on?
cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Where and when is this going to be, that conviction, that belief, that voice that's empowering? When's it going to be useful?
Primarily when I am public speaking and I'm running like a workshop or doing my own thing. So I'm leading a group. So that's really the first place. But just in general, when I sell myself as a coach, or when I, even as I'm coaching somebody, looking at someone when they got that look and say, oh, well, what's that about? Rather than, oh my God, they're judging me.
Nice. And for what purpose would you want this?
Just so I can get on with it. Just so I can free up that sort of chatter that's just not serving me, so I can move on with things and really just, focus.
Okay. And is it going to be ecological, good for you, for everybody around you? Okay.
Definitely.
So let's just check in. So by the end of today's session, we will take that voice and change it into more empowering. And you'll know this because there'll be that laser sharp beams behind your eyes. You'll feel more of that confidence in your shoulders, more grounded and more conviction to be able to reflect really how you feel.
Right.
Sound good?
Sound great.
All right, let's do it. Perfect. So one of the things that has come to my mind, even as you were talking then, is there seems to be these parts. I want to do it, but I can't do it kind of thing.
Yes.
And my guess is that internal battle gets in the way and creates the empowered voice and creates the disempowered voice and the little girl in between.
Yes.
My guess also is that these parts that battle have a positive intention for you. And based on experience, my guess is they probably have the same intention, because they probably came from the same thing at the beginning.
Yeah.
So we might even figure out where they came apart and see if we can reintegrate them back wherever they came apart. Probably wherever that little girl is still hanging out. Look at the lights! Look at the lights! Aren't they pretty? Okay. To do this, I'm going to have you do a few things.
Sure.
I'm going to have you close your eyes and put your hands up on your lap, not from a meditative standpoint, but we're going to imagine those different parts. That more empowered part that says just do it, and the one that goes, oh, what are they going to think? Kind of part. So we're going to personify those parts a little bit. And then I've got some questions, and I just want to ask these parts some questions today, so you can leave your conscious mind just thinking about other stuff, and your unconscious mind is what will play with me today. Any questions? Okay. Go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to, let's look at that first part, the one that is the more empowering part. Let's go with that one first. And imagine a shape or a symbol that represents that empowering part. And imagine it can just go into one of your hands. It's in my right hand. It's in your right hand? Okay. And if you could see it, what would it look like?
It's like a 4D star looking thing.
A 4D star looking.
Yeah.
Very cool. Any color?
It's like a crystal white color.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I have some questions for this part. And I just want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind. No matter if it's silly, if it's completely sane, just the first thing that comes into your mind. First question for this part that is more that empowering part, what is its purpose?
To educate me.
When it educates you, what does that give you?
It gives me power.
Power. And when you have power, what does power allow you?
Freedom.
Freedom. And when you have freedom, what does freedom give you?
Freedom gives me purpose.
Purpose. And is there a higher intention for purpose?
When I have purpose, I'm aligned.
Aligned. It's a very good intention. Let's find the other side. The other one that's more critical, that has that fear of judgment. And let that one come into your left hand. And when you can see that one, what's that one look like?
It's a little cracked egg.
The little cracked egg. And I have some questions for that part too. What is its purpose?
Protection.
Protection. And when you have protection, what does protection allow you?
Expression.
Expression. And when you can have expression, what does that give you?
Freedom.
Freedom. And when you have freedom, what does freedom allow you?
Same. Purpose.
Purpose. And is there a higher intention for that purpose?
Yep. Alignment.
Alignment.
Wholeness.
Wholeness. So I want you to notice both of those parts want the same thing for you, that alignment and that purpose. But they go about it in very different ways. Can you recognize also that both of those parts used to belong together? Yeah. So before we actually bring them together, I want to do something else. I want you to imagine your timeline. Just like history has a timeline, you have a timeline too. It marks out your past, your present, and your future. And I want you to imagine you can look into the past and allow your unconscious mind to reveal any events that contain that old fear of judgment, where that cracked egg came involved. And start to follow that trail of just dots, or however you represent those events, all the way back to the beginning. And tell me when you get to the very beginning of that trail. Okay. And look even further back. Are there any more events there? Okay. So let your unconscious mind just sink right down into that event. And whatever you see or don't see is perfect. But tell me, what emotions do you notice?
Shame.
Shame? Anything else?
Disappointment.
Disappointment?
Embarrassment.
Embarrassment? And I simply just want you to be there with your younger self. And let your unconscious mind, that's that non-thinking part of your mind, let that part of your mind just go into this and just start distorting learnings and understandings, even if you don't know what those learnings are. Every day, your unconscious mind stores those learnings. Let it do that now. And while it does that, I'm curious, what do you know now? What do you, Laura the adult, what do you know now that would have been useful for you to know back then?
That I'm okay.
That you're okay?
That that I. 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 That I.
always true. So if you could share with your younger self, here's the real truth. What could be the real truth?
That it wasn't me.
It wasn't you.
The truth is that I was always whole and complete.
The truth is you are always whole and complete. In fact, allow yourself to notice these parts there that split. The one in your left hand, the one in your right hand that you're holding for that younger self. And let's integrate them. Ask for any other parts that used to belong to this to come and join in for the integration. And then you may feel your hands wanting together, or maybe it's just the symbols begin to merge in your mind. There you go. Bring them together, reintegrate them for that wholeness, that alignment, that completion. What's that new symbol?
It's a white dove.
A white dove.
With
And
its wings out.
with its wings out. And I want you to give that white dove with his wings out to the young girl, to young Lara, and let her take it inside and complete that wholeness inside. And as she does that, feel that happening in you now. Tell me, what's happened to those old emotions? That old shame and disappointment and embarrassment, have they disappeared? No. That's right. And again, just trust your unconscious mind to float up above your timeline and a little bit more into the past from that event. You're before this event has happened on your timeline, and look back towards now. And I want you to notice all those dots or all those events that has that trail that leads back to now. And I want you to grab a vacuum cleaner. What color is your vacuum? Purple. And I want you to take that vacuum, and I just want you to clean up all those events between then and now. At the same time, your unconscious mind can store any learnings, let go of those old emotions and those old beliefs, and solidify that completeness and that wholeness all the way back to now. And when you get back to now, just let me know. Okay. And then I want you to think about a time in the future, which if had happened in the past, maybe doing some public speaking, your voice would have shaked, or you would have had that internal dialogue going on. That little girl, that chicken. Tell me what you notice happens instead.
I can breathe.
You can breathe. Good. Then trust your unconscious mind to store any other learnings, and then come back into the room and open your eyes. Wow. Tell me what that breath, that was like a body breath. What was that big breath?
Relief.
A relief.
I cry up here a lot.
So we painted the walls with something that evokes tears. What kind of relief is that relief?
Let
They
it
cry, it's okay. They're good tears. They're good tears. They're relief tears.
I don't know what it is. Mascara on.
It's alright, I have tissues. I don't know where, but I've got tissues.
It's a letting go of something that I've had for a long time.
And what does it mean now to be able to let go? Thank you.
I guess it means that I really can just be me.
I can just be me. And when you can just be you, what's important about that?
What's important about that is that I'll live the life I was meant to live.
You can live the life you were meant to live. Wow.
Because I'm always whole.
Because you're always whole.
And I was a fool to think that I wasn't.
Well, I don't know if you were a fool to think you weren't, because you're looking at it from your eyes now.
Yeah.
And you can see it differently now than you could see it when you were little.
Yeah.
Or younger. I don't know how old you were here. Little. And I know that that little girl was doing the best she knew how to do with what she had available.
Yeah.
She didn't know any different, did she? And she made a decision, she created a belief that you wouldn't do now because you know better. Like, seriously, could she have chosen differently?
No. She was so little.
She was so little. About how old would you guess she
She
was?
was about 4.
About 4. Wow.
Maybe 5.
Maybe 5.
And she was so impressionable and just excited and happy. Yeah.
Yeah. And we are. We are so impressionable at that age. And I'm glad she was excited and happy.
And that's the excited and happy that I want to feel. Again.
And are you allowed to feel that now? Do you have permission?
Yeah.
To feel excited and happy?
Yep.
And you now, there's no fool in you. And when you know better, you can do better. That's right. One of the things you mentioned is that you needed to have that sense of confidence. Tell me, with this, with all that foolishness gone, what's the confidence that comes with this understanding?
It's almost like a natural, God-given state.
A natural God-given state.
It's like real. I don't have to try. It's just there.
Wow.
It's just there.
And where is it?
So it kind of runs from here to just like from my core up. Wow. Like it just keeps circulating.
Wow. And what do you believe now about your confidence?
It's just always been there.
It's always been there. Yeah. And you mentioned also that you needed to have kind of that gut aspect of trust, like, I've got it. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's kind of part of that. It's moving.
So is that, it starts with that trust and then...
Yeah.
Wow.
It starts with that feeling of, yep, and then it kind of goes through me.
Wow.
Yep. It keeps going. It's blue.
It's blue.
Like that hole. Yeah.
So what does this mean for you? What does this mean for the future? Public speaking, being you, selling yourself.
This is it.
This is it.
This is it.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Nice job.
No more mucking around.
No more mucking around. And that internal dialogue that used to be there, that was judging and...
Do you know, I can't even remember it now. It was something about a chicken or an egg or something. I don't know what comes first. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Nice.
I honestly can't. I don't want to remember it because I can't, and it's fine.
Fair. So let's just check in. When we started, we said that we would create that ability for the voice to be more empowering, and for you to know that it's okay.
Yeah.
And you would know that because there was that laser sharpness behind your eyes.
I can feel it because my eyebrow keeps going up. I know. I can feel it.
Wow. What is that laser sharp?
It's that kind of
beam.
It's almost like I'm seeing the world through my adult self. Not like a scared little person, but just really just me.
That's beautiful.
So that's that feeling that's what it's hard to describe, but it's, I don't know, it's just seeing things differently.
I think you explained it beautifully. You're looking at it through your adult eyes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you also said that there would be more of this sense of confidence.
Yeah, well, that's still going.
Still really in my shoulders. It's beautiful. Nicely done.
Thank you so much.
Tell me one thing you're going to take away from today or leave behind.
One thing I want to take away from today is that this feeling isn't conditional. It's not dependent on anything or anyone. That this river almost of feeling of just wholeness has always been running through me. But that voice was just getting in the way.
Yeah.
So that blue river that I can still see, I feel like will always just be a trigger.
Beautiful. Good job.
Thank you.